So about 3.5 months ago, I decided it would be a good idea to rank all 78 of the minigames from Mario Party 6 that are playable on the board. And yeah, it's 43 minutes and over 200 views. And with that level of success, I was like, why the hell not? And just decide that instead of just ranking minigames here, we're going to be ranking all 6 of the boards that you can play in Mario Party 6. Yeah, I know that this may be way less entries than it was for the minigames. However, I have way more to talk about each of these because what's the difference between a minigame and a board? A lot. So yeah, we're just gonna get this out of the way. And no solo mode. That barely even counts. Because, well, you're just moving in a straight line just trying to unlock minigames. And just trying to get to the end. Well, that barely even counts. Just the main 6 boards you can play on party mode. Anyways, let's get this simple ranking started. Number 6, Clockwork Castle. Being the only unlockable board, it should be a home run. Instead, it's just convoluted and confusing. That's really the best way to describe this board. One thing to note here is that every 3 turns for each of these boards, it's going to switch between day and night mode, so that's something you got to keep track of while you're playing this game. One thing to note is that this is the board that uses it the most and changes up the board in many extreme ways. One of these ways is the fact that the star space is never the same, and usually is only around during the day. If you run into DK, or if DK runs into you, you'll be able to purchase a star from him as long as you can afford it. However, the exact opposite can truly be said for night mode. During the night, DK will be swapped for Bowser, and if he runs into you or you run into him, he will take a star from you. Unless you don't have a star, he'll just take 20 coins. Yeah, sure, why not? There's also tons of warp pipes that can take you to multiple different areas around the map, and there are also certain points where they'll be closed off. There's also pipe randomizers, which can just swap where the pipes lead to, which is quite interesting. At least you can know where the pipes are going. Things start to get a bit icky when you realize that the direction you go changes every time day and night moves by, which is just super annoying. Note this now, that I would say that I was completely stuck on the left half of the board for Clockwork Castle because of this annoying mechanic. Unless you play your cards correctly, note I didn't, you'll likely be stuck there for pretty much the entire game unless something else happens. I will say that it is nice to see Brighton and Twilight have their own happening spaces, each of them having 2 treasure chests, one that gets you 10 to 20 coins, and one that gets you a free star. That is pretty interesting, even though I never received the Twilight one. Although I don't know if it would be any different. The final happening space I received was this one where you can just get this one rod where you could potentially get an orb or potentially lose all your orbs. It's a nice event, even though I only got it once and got an orb from it, but it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, it's just a simple happening event. Don't get me wrong, this is a decent board. However, the problem is that the layout is not a proper one that fits this theme of the direction just changing, because it could just forcefully lead you to be stuck in one area for the entire game if it wants to. Just stupid, but so far, a decent board. Yeah, I don't think there's a single bad board in Mario Party 6. Let's just move on to the next entry. Our first purchase star. I'll tell you right now, this is turn 9, and yeah, our first purchase star, and it isn't even from me. Wow, turn 9. That is fucking absurd. Number 5, Castaway Bay. In terms of a functioning board, this is pretty similar to Mario's Rainbow Castle. Heck, I played the original version of that, and this, on the same day. Just like in Mario's Rainbow Castle, the star is only in one place. However, unlike in that version where it's just Toad having the star and Bowser causing trouble, this time, Toad is swapped out for DK. Yeah, it kind of functions the same way, somewhat. If you make it to the star space and DK's there, you'll be able to purchase a star as long as you can afford it. And just like in Mario's Rainbow Castle, if Bowser's there, he causes trouble. And unlike last time where he just steals 40 coins no matter what, he actually goes out of his way to steal a star if you have one. unless if you don't have one, he'll just deal 20 coins. Just like in Clockwork Castle. There's also a decent amount of happening spaces around the board where you can just completely switch where DK and Bowser are, if they're at the start space or not. Just like in Mario's Rainbow Castle, however here there's items, so you can actually skill it out and actually have some insane 200 IQ moves with it. Even if that one move you just saw completely backfired on me. Because a player used the raft and got there first. Oh yeah, the raft. It can be a pretty useful option just to get to Donkey Kong if you need to. Oh yeah, because you could just pay 10 coins. As long as you can afford the star afterwards, or don't get hit by Bowser's cannons, it's pretty fine. Although, the exact opposite could happen if DK's there instead. Although, yeah, it's nothing too important. It only happened once throughout the entire 25-turn game. The only other happening space that any player got during that game was just... it was just an event where you can potentially win money from a Yukiki, where the Yukiki could just simply throw coins and spinies down during the day. However, night, he can actually throw down a few money bags in there as well. But besides that, there really isn't that much remarkable in this board, and it has too much of a nonsense factor to it at all. But really, still a decent board. Yeah, it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10 board. It's still nice. Number 4, Towering Treetop. This is Mario Party 6's starting board, and yeah, it kind of shows. It's a pretty simplistic board, and it's just used to show off the mechanics of this game, like the day and night mode and what it can do. And yeah, it really doesn't do much. It just simply closes off a bit of pathways and does change up a bit of events that I did not manage to land on. However, that's really what it does. For happening events, there's a lot of them. However, in the footage here you see, I didn't land on a lot of them, or anyone did. There's the Fluff Airlines, which has a lot of dandelions that can send you to multiple different spaces, which is pretty nice. There are bees, but they do mostly nothing. My favorite of the happening events, though, is pure genius. You can make Woody sneeze, and any player that is on a higher level can be knocked down lower on the board, which is just pure genius. It can truly change any player's position if they can be able to get the star or not. I love it. However, besides that, there really isn't much this board. Yeah, this is probably going to be the shortest entry on the list. Next! Number 3, Egad's Garage. Probably the board here with the best theme. It's a true banger. And also the looks of the board truly feel like you're in a garage with a lot of inventions. It's a lot of good theming. The day and night mode really doesn't do too much here, but it does enough. It's the fact that the center platform rotates 180 degrees, which can potentially change up the patterns for the star in a lot of ways if you think about it. For happening events, there's a ton of them. On the bottom right of the board, there is this launcher here with Egad, where you can pay a pretty inflated price to have at least 1, 2, or 3 character orbs placed on there. But the problem is that the fact that the prices are a bit inflated, like, god damn! Happening spaces on conveyor belts will send you back somewhere in the board. However, the thing is the fact that they can give you coins out of it. There's also 3 teleporting machines across the map that can send you to a, thankfully, predetermined area around the board. So you can choose if you want to take them or not, if you want to get into a potentially better position for the star, and can lead to some pretty genius plays. Like, look at that. There's also this orb machine around the right of the map, where during the day, you can potentially use your orbs and swap them out for some even more efficient orbs, or during the night, which you're seeing right now, just trade the orbs for coins, which can go either way for you if you want. And finally, for the happening spaces, there's the, suckage apparatus, which gives you a big fan that will be able to suck away any coins from other players. However, the other players could just mash the A button as fast as they can to potentially not lose as much coins as the single player thought. Well, however, that really doesn't matter since the single player will still steal a lot. However, this could go any way, and I'm glad the fact that you could potentially have more coins stolen from you than you think, which is pretty nice. But yeah, overall, this is probably easily the best board for newcomers out there. A very, very good board indeed. Borderline great. Next! Number 2, Snowflake Lake. Easily Mario Party 6's most controversial board. Most people either like it or hate it. It's literally a complete split. I'm completely on the ladder for this board. It just takes the star collecting mechanic and completely does a full 180 on it. Instead, you're given 5 stars at the beginning of the board, and your job is just to steal them from each other, which is just fantastic if you think about it. The way you steal stars is via chain chomps. During the day, you'll only roll 1 dice block. So yeah, they're not too useful during the day, unless a player is less than 10 spaces away from where you're going. However, during night, they take this idea and completely make it way better, and which will eventually become a part of Pyramid Park's board, which is just having multiple dice blocks that you could roll, however, for different prices. 10 for obviously 1, 20 for 2, and I think there was also 30 for 3, but I'm not sure. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong or not. What night mode is just very, very simple, yet very, very effective. They just block off these pathways, which doesn't seem important on paper. However, when you realize it, it really changes up how the board works. Because, well, it just blocks off pathways to potentially be out of danger. Those pathways worked as a simple way of ducking down to avoid revenge from the other players. However, that's not the case anymore. So any players in the Outer Rim, where chain chomps go, they can completely demolish each other if they want. But what about happening events? There's a ton of them. One of the happening events is this central circle, which in the day can act as an ice rink for you to collect coins in. However, during the night, it's focused mostly as a snowball fight, where you can actually steal coins from each other, which is just amazing at perfectly capturing that Mario Party spirit. This one isn't a happening space, however, it acts like one. There's a Womp tool on the very right of the board that can help you duck down into the very center if you need it, most certainly during the night. And finally, for happening events, there is this one on the top of the board where it will send you a snowball down a certain path. If you're in that path, too bad, you go back to start, which could be a last turn resort if you truly need it. But yeah, although this board is great. Like I'm telling you, I had tons of fun on this board, and especially for just changing up the formula a bit. This perfectly works, and they did it pretty well in not 1, but 2 entire Mario parties down the road. I'm filming this right now because, well, Yoshi has literally won, like, he's won the Find the Star game, like, twice already, both in night. I swear if he wins a 3rd time in a row. Yes! His luck runs out. 3rd time isn't the charm, I guess. Number 1, Fair Square. Oh, come on, what the hell did you expect? This was obviously going to be the number 1 spot on this list. This works as like one of those, you know, those gambling centers that you can really much be trusted with being around. Wait, gambling?
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Aw, dang.
Was that necessary? Hell yeah! Just like Castaway Bay, the star spot is pretty much in the same area, which is pretty much unopposed and can't be swapped out for something negative. However, during the night, the star's price can influx. Well, during the day, it's usually just a normal 20 coins. However, during night, it could range from as low as 5 to as high as, I think, 50. You can also purchase as many as 5 stars in one turn as long as you have the money for it. However, if not, you could purchase more than 1 if you're lucky enough. However, that really doesn't hold this board back too much, because this board really does a lot of things with your stars. Which is the perfect time for me to talk about the happening spaces. On the very top of the board, there's this happening space where there can be a gigantic jackpot. All players are brought up to this happening space, and you all, and I mean all of you, get to choose one of these 4 pots. And only one of them will contain pretty much the entire jackpot of how many coins are put on the line, which is commonly 10 for each player. And yeah, if you're lucky enough, you can get it. However, this also could change up the game in so many unpredictable ways, which is just pure genius for a gambling center like this board is supposed to be. However, during night, instead of coins, it's full-blown stars. And it pretty much works the same way. However, it's stars instead of coins, which just changes up the board in whoever ends up getting this win, which is just purely, like, I'm telling you right now, that I can't think of any other board where this could have worked besides this one. For the next happening event, we get a bloom that will send you pretty much to the star area, probably the space before or after it, I think. There's also these happening spaces that will send you back to the start, which really don't do too much. However, you might need them if you want to try to get some more coins in the meantime to potentially get to another star. But yeah, not much help. What is a gambling center most known for? A slot machine. And yeah, during the day it'll cost you 5 coins to do it. However, during the night it'll cost you 10. And depending on what you get, is depending on how many coins you'll get overall. And you can tell, I'm completely dog shit at this game. What's easily the best happening space on this board is the cup game. However, instead of cups, we got hats. How this works is that you can gamble one of your stars and put them under these, and you can have them shuffled around in one of these hats. And if you guess the right hat, you can get 2 stars back. And under 3 hats. However, during the night, there'll be 6 hats, and if you get your star, you'll end up getting a whopping 3 stars back. Are you for real? That's the second time he's taken that risk. Oh my god. This board truly does a great job of just being a simple gambling center and really just encouraging you to get as many coins as you can and trying to get as many stars as well. And for you to risk it all. Like, it does a great job at all of that. Like, this is easily the best board, like 100%. And it's easily one of the best boards I think I've played out of any Mario Party. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this board. Good job, Fair Square. You earned your placement. And with that, we've concluded another ranking video. It's not as long as the other one. However, this video has been in development hell. I started work on this video on July 23rd. However, I did not finish this entire video until August 12th. Like, it's been in development hell. However, this video is still pretty fun to make despite that. And I can at least give more thoughts on one entire thing than with minigames where I have to forcefully give like 5-second thoughts on some minigames. However, that doesn't really excuse this Mario Party at all. Like, Mario Party 6 really is the definition of probably my favorite Mario Party to play in my free time. Mario Party 7 coming right behind it. And yeah, that's pretty much it for ranking the boards of Mario Party 6. What will be next? Obviously Mario Party 7 minigame reviews, 100%. Also, the funny and raging moments for Mario Party 4 Part 3, I haven't started it yet. However, I think I'll probably start it soon. I do have the footage still for this as well. You're seeing that right now. However, I don't know when I'm going to start it. However, also 100%, BFB Viewer Voting 3 show, auditions are nearly over for that video. Yeah, the only ones left are pretty much just, I feel like there's only 9ball and Saw left on there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And episode 2 has actually started work. But yeah, besides that, that's pretty much it for this video. I don't have as much to say as like I did for the last ranking video, but does that really need to be said at all? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because this took some time to make. And for how much development hell it's been in, like, it's just, I'm just so glad to have finally finished this video once and for all. Alright, I'll see you guys in Mario Party 7 minigame review, whatever one it releases. Like, as of recording this video, this is before Ghost in the Hall's release. However, this could most certainly be after that. Yep, I'll see you guys then.